G'day folks, here are my top 10 gigs of 2024. G'day folks, Jeff here, welcome back to the channel. Today is the first in our series of year-end videos, so I have plans of doing, top 20 albums. I think I might do top 10 EPs and demos and top 10 like Aussie albums as well, just for the hell of it, why not? But yeah, this is top 10 gigs of 2024 that I went to, so I'm not going to do full reviews of these. I mean, half of them I actually have proper reviews of on this channel, so I'd encourage you to go watch them. I'll mention it in each one. But plus the other reason is that half of these gigs are from like January or February, and I've forgotten them already. So yeah, my memory's a little hazy on some of them. So, but yeah, I know I had a good time. There's a good batch of gigs that I missed this year, unfortunately. My wife was quite ill, so I had to look after her for a number of months. So I missed some pretty nice tours of Suffocation, who admittedly I've seen about 4 times beforehand, but I hadn't actually seen it with the new singer, but oh well. Hopefully they'll be back. I missed The Ocean and Cave In, which I've seen The Ocean, but yeah, I was pretty keen for Cave In. I think it was the final Sirathungal tour. I missed the final Wretch gig, so sorry lads, but yeah, it was a quality Canberra band that broke up, unfortunately. I missed the Sunburn Festival. That it was a pretty damn doomy looking day. It was a really good, Aussie band only gig with 100 Years War, Religious Observance, Black Jesus, and Street Trash. So I wouldn't have minded. Plus, I mean, there was also the Rotting Christ and Jungle Rot toured as part of that. So yeah, I probably would have gone to that just for the hell of it. There were also a batch of gigs that I just didn't go to as well. I don't really like Undeath much, so I didn't bother checking that out. I missed, I was kind of keen to see Internal Bleeding and just Entomb as well, so didn't get around to that. Pestilence kind of clashed with I think I could have seen him in Melbourne when I was down there for the, whatever that decennial declaration gig or whatever it was. But I did see Pestilence at MDF a couple of years ago, and admittedly, they were bloody killer, so I don't know how they were on this tour. What else did I miss? I could quite easily have gone. There was a gig on 2 gigs on the same night at the same venue, like at the basement, because they got 2 rooms. There was, I think it was Orange Goblin in the big room, and Gatecreeper and Cruelty in the small room. I definitely could have gone to that because I was in Canberra at the time, but I just couldn't be bothered. I also missed Weed Eater when they toured, which is a shame, but also seen them. So yeah, of the bands that I've missed, I have seen most of them before, but yeah, these things happen. Plus I'm an old geezer, I don't really need to be going to millions of gigs, but I didn't seem to get to a lot of local gigs. I don't actually live in Canberra, I live like an hour and a bit away, so it's not really the easiest, catch an Uber for 10 minutes and you're at a gig sort of side of things. But out of all these gigs, I think there's only about 3 or 4 that I actually had to go to Sydney for, or Melbourne sort of things. But anyway, let's get into them. All right, at number 10 was D.R.I. They toured on their 40th anniversary tour, I believe. They played the 21st of February at the Basement in Belconnen, or the Baso as it's called now. They played with Witch Skull, Speedball, and Head in a Jar. This one's a bit hazy, I gotta say. This was like a weeknight, so I had to work the next day, so I didn't go too berserk, but I still can't really remember it particularly well. Of the support bands, Witch Skull ruled. I mean, they're definitely not a D.R.I. sounding kind of band. I was kind of surprised to see them on the bill, but I wasn't complaining. They're a sort of stoner doomy kind of band from Canberra that friggin' rule. So they were fine. Sounded great. Of the 2 other support bands, I didn't know them beforehand, as Speedball and Head in a Jar. I think it was Head in a Jar were bloody terrible. One of those bands was just like, oh, Jesus, is it supposed to sound like that? It was one of those, time to go hang out in the smoking beer garden outside, even though I don't smoke. So one band was crap, the other one wasn't terrible, but yeah, everyone was there for D.R.I, who, as always, friggin' ruled. Nothing special or amazing about them. I mean, they always put on a damn good show. I've seen them at least a couple of times, at least twice in Canberra, I think, and I did see him in America, in Chicago as well, which is a bloody ripper. So yeah, you can't go wrong with D.R.I. Mostly songs off dealing with it, or Dirty Rotten LP. It's actually, I think, 4 or 5 songs off Four of a Kind, which I was kind of surprised about. I mean, they always play Suit and Tie Guy or whatever it's called, but yeah, that was more than I expected. It was cool. A few off crossover, but not as many as I kind of expected. A bit more, to tell the truth. I mean, they do have a number of later albums. You know, the last like 30 years or whatever, they've been putting out albums, but yeah, those were few and far between. So, but yeah, I mean, Kurt's great frontman always. He's very experienced, so he knows what he's doing, and yeah, it was really good to see my older mates, ones that are older than me, just going berserk in the pit. Because yeah, D.R.I it's a popular band in Canberra. I mean, partly because they were so legendary from a gig before my time, and I think it was a crossover tour they played in Canberra, and it was pretty legendary because there was all these skinheads being wankers and violent, and you know, sig heiling them and stuff, and then yeah, a big brawl broke out, and yeah, all the non-skinhead people beat the shit out of them and kicked them out, and D.R.I were happy about it, I think. So they still tell that story occasionally. So yeah, I'm sad that I missed that, because that would have been a memorable gig, I think. But at any rate, this one was not as memorable, but bloody killer. So good old D.R.I, always worth seeing. All right, number 9 was a week beforehand. It was In Flames and Kreator. They played at University of Canberra, where I actually went to uni. So it was kind of cool being back in my old haunts. I was like, hey, I used to study over there. And yeah, it was probably, I think, my first time going there since Metal for the Brain. Like, Metal for the Brain is a big festival in Canberra, like, you know, mostly Aussie metal bands. Legendary time. And yeah, the last about, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them were at the Uni of Canberra. The ones, it started at ANU, which is the other Australian National University, but they eventually moved to UC. So yeah, it'd been a while since I'd been there. It looks a bit different. It was kind of fun wandering around. But yeah, the gig was kind of odd. Like, it's in the refectory there, which is huge, open, you know, it's like the cafeteria, open area sort of thing. So it's good setup. I've seen, well, Metal for the Brain gigs there, but I think Mr. Bungle played there. A couple of other bands that I've seen there. But yeah, this was excellent. Big stage. There was no openers. It was a weird sort of gig. No local bands at all, like even local Aussie bands. So yeah, I don't know if they changed who headlined each night or whatever, but Kreator were first, which was fine by me. And yeah, pretty much ruled. This is probably about my 3rd or maybe 4th time seeing Kreator. I did see him, I think they initially toured Australia on, well, like Renewal, somewhere around there, like, you know, the start of the decline in my book. And they were pretty good. I saw him in Sydney. Alchemist supported them, and which was cool. And yeah, it was all right, but yeah, all I remember is Millie shouting and Frank bloody Blackflyer running around like a glamster, but they still were all right. Then I saw him at the, what are they called? The Gaelic Club in Sydney, which was cool, except for my most hated, or my most favourite Kreator bit of all time is the main sort of, I don't know, bridge or whatever, the breakdown sort of bit on the song Pleasure to Kill. Now that the mission is done. Toughest bit of all time. Greatest riff. And yeah, the previous time I'd seen them, he did that spoken word, and I was horrified. I was, yeah, not pleased. My favourite bit, and he does it all artsy and wanky. It was terrible. This time, I'm fairly certain, I was maybe a tad tipsy at that stage, but I'm fairly certain he did scream at it properly, at least. So I was happy about that. But yeah, they were bloody excellent. Like, I mean, they were excellent previously at the Gaelic Club as well, except for the Pleasure to Kill incident. But yeah, I mean, they're pro band. They've been touring non-stop for donkey's years. They know what they're doing. They had this huge blow-up demon thing, you know, like their mascot, which I don't think actually has a name, but yeah, had this huge blow-up demon behind them. It looked awesome. It was really the we salute you, half-inflated Dark Lord sort of incident, but it actually worked very well. So yeah, they what songs did they play? They played you know, the usual classics. They played Pleasure to Kill, Flag of Hate. You got Betrayer, People of the Lie was pretty good. Nothing Off Terrible Certainty. I think one of the songs was a bit poxy. I think it was Satan is Real. Maybe it was just his intro, but Mark and I are just like, oh, dude, what are you doing? But yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of their later albums. I don't own anything beyond, well, I think Coma of Souls is where I stopped buying albums. I mean, I know they're alright. I've downloaded them. I've heard them before, but yeah, I'm not forking out money for them. He's a bit shouty, but live sounded pretty bloody good. I was quite impressed. And then after a bit of a pause, it was good. There was a heap of people there, including a bloke I work with. Hey, Chris. Which was kind of random, seeing him and his son there. Yeah, after that, In Flames came on, who I know barely anything about. I think I did check out, like Jester Race when it came out, or what was the one before that? Oh, I don't know. They were never my favourite band by any means, but they were pretty good. They started off, I was quite impressed after the first few songs. We only planned on sticking around for like half of it because, Mark and I are Kreator fans, and that's who we were there for, but you wanted to stick around for, I think the song was Behind Space, and it was about like halfway through the set. I'd checked on Setlist FM at their previous gigs to make sure we weren't going to be staying there till the end, because I couldn't be bothered. And yeah, it was about halfway through it, and yeah, pretty good song, and then after that we just went, well, so yes, bugger it, which was kind of relaxing. But yeah, they were really quite good until the clean singing started. I was thinking, hey, this is much better than I expected, and then it's like, oh, yeah, no, thanks, mate. So I went outside, hung out with some mates until we estimated it was about time for Behind Space, and saw that and buggered off. It was great. So yeah, excellent gig. It's still kind of weird there was no opener. It was just like, how many gigs do you see Kreator as the first band? Very rarely. It was slightly odd. But yeah, had a great time. So very happy with that one. All right, number 8 was Midnight, Stalker and Blasphemencia. That was on the 3rd of March in the basement in Canberra. It was a bloody excellent gig. It was weird. It was like a Sunday afternoon gig, so it was sort of, realising that people had to work the next day. So it started like 3 o'clock. I'm pretty sure I just drove home after it, which was a little odd. Like this is, drove home an hour and a half. So usually with these sort of things, I at least stay in Canberra. But that one, I'm pretty sure I just went, no, bugger it, I'm going home. This was excellent. I think it was the second time I saw Blasphemencia, who's a sort of kind of similar black thrashy, kind of old school sounding, 80s thrash, first wave black metal-y kind of sounding band with Chris and John from Backyard Mortuary and Chris's brother Nathan as well. So yeah, excellent dudes in an excellent band, and yeah, they killed it live. Really good fun. They sounded like Sodom and all those sort of bands, and did an awesome job. So perfect support for Midnight, really. It was very fitting. So it was good to see them as blokes, but also good to see them live as well. Stalker was the main support that I think toured around, with Midnight. They're a New Zealand sort of band. Very similar. All three bands were pretty, 80s metal sounding, and I think Stalker have the, not quite spandex, but they're they're into it. It was great stuff there. Really energetic. It was just really good fun. They realise that it's not the most serious style of music, and they're having fun. So, and so were the crowd as well. They were loving it. But yeah, everyone was there for Midnight really, and they ruled. Bloody hell! It was my 4th time seeing them. I think I'd seen them at like an MDF, and then maybe a couple of times in Sydney. I think I don't even remember the previous ones, but yeah, this one was definitely the best, I reckon. I don't know. It's a band that I've got the early stuff. Can't say I've bought any of their albums recently. I mean, they don't really change their sound much. Again, they're Midnight are a kind of black thrash kind of style band, but they just had so much energy. It just went off. I don't know, just perfect sort of speed of their songs. It was a really good sort of structured set, so that they weren't all just like bang your head off super fast sort of songs. It did vary, but they're just really into it. And I mean, obviously, good musos, really good solos. Yeah, it was just high energy. Way more sort of jumping around, having a grand time than I expected. It was, yeah, really excellent. This was all in the back room, I think. Oh, maybe it was the big stage. I don't know. There's another slightly hazy gig, I've got to say. And I probably wasn't even drunk because I had to drive home. So, but no, it was an excellent time. I mean, Or I always knew Midnight would be bloody good, but it was just surpassed my expectations. It was great fun. All right, number 7 was Katatonia. They played in Sydney at the Metro on the 9th of February. It was a busy month-old February, and I think this next February coming has got a few gigs coming up that I might be keen for, so seems to be a good time of year for bands touring. Probably because it's not summer in the Northern Hemisphere at the time, so yeah, we seem to get a few, but at any rate, Katatonia, one of my favourite bands. There's a lot of bands, some of my favourite bands, but Katatonia really are. They're pretty sure my last FM they still win on overall listens. And yeah, they were touring their album that from last year, the Sky Void of Stars, that was my number 1 album last year. So yeah, they always play a lot of new songs live, and I was not complaining this time. And live, they sounded amazing. It was, I don't know, it was kind of weird. Like they didn't tour with Anders or even Roger anymore, who sort of looks to be out of the band, and also out of Tiamat, so I don't know what's going on there. But so they had the fill-in guy that they've got, whose name I can never remember, from Nico, maybe, from Entombed AD. I think he was playing with them. But the weird bit is they have like Anders stuff, like, Blackheim, one of the other main dudes in the band. He hasn't toured with them for a while. Don't know what's going on there, but they just had his stuff on tape, so it was a little odd. I mean, they need 2 guitars really for everything that's going on. So having it on tape, it sounded perfect as you'd imagine, but it was still a little strange. I noticed these days they seem to have, that Nico guy, I think, and another guy from, what band's he from? I don't know. Another session live lead guitarist. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. They've always had a reasonably changing lineup. Obviously, what's his name? Jonas has been there the whole time, and Blackheim was until recently. So, yeah. And I know Jonas doesn't appear to be playing with Bloodbath much live these days, so I'm guessing a falling out, but, well. Sad days, because they're a talented bunch. At any rate, back to the gig. So yeah, the set list was a hell of a lot of new stuff, which I didn't mind. There was nothing older than like Viva Emptiness. Didn't even get Tear Gas, which was a bit of a shame, or definitely nothing older. I know they have been playing. I've looked at a few of their set lists of other gigs around this year, and I think they've been playing For My Demons, which would have been pretty nice to see that. I'm still holding my breath that one day maybe we'll get an old school set, but yeah. I'm not holding it that strongly, that's for sure. I think they played a few of those, 10 years ago in Europe that I should have gone to really, but oh well. But yeah, live they just ruled, really. Vocals were spot on. The sound is perfect. I love the drummer they've got now. It took me a while to get used to him, but yeah. What is his name? Mojo or whatever. Yeah, he goes off. I love seeing pictures of him. He's always got old school Autopsy shirts on, and I saw him in an Ass Destroyer shirt the other day. I'm like, good lad. So yeah, Katatonia ruled. I was not surprised. Good long set. There was heaps of songs in it, but again, nothing older than Viva Emptiness. A few songs off Great Cold Distance. Yeah. Overall, very, very happy with that. The new song sounded great live. I think the previous time I've seen them was that one when they played at Dark Mofo, when they'd travelled for 25 hours or something or other and lost their equipment, so it had to be replacement stuff had to be scrounged up on the day, and they got to play for 45 minutes or something. It was not as amazing as it could have been, but this time, bloody awesome. Really enjoyed it. Support bands, I don't know. One of them was Evocatus, but I have a feeling I stayed about 200 meters away and just was I'm pretty comfy in my hotel at the moment. I think I checked out them online and it was sounds alright, but bugger it. I did get there and I saw a bit of flaming wreckage that were I don't even know. I saw 2 minutes of it. It sounded like quite thrash metal, but just modern metal. Not my thing. So just went back and got a beer, I think. So, but yeah, Katatonia ruled always. All right, number 6 was Thou and Full of Hell, who played at the Basement in Canberra on the 16th of August. Now, this is one of which is in my review, along with the 2 other gigs that happened that week. So I'll put a picture of it up so you know what to look for, but I'd ramble longer about that on that review and more succinctly because it was not 4 months ago. But yeah, that was the 3rd night in a row of gigs. I was a bit knackered, but I still enjoyed it a hell of a lot. So yeah, it was mostly sort of hardcore kind of bands. I think Face Cutter were on first, who were a bit too breakdowny for my liking, and the crowd were being tryhards as usual. But so they didn't really blow me away. Bloodmouth were on after them. That's another local sort of band. They're really good, but not as great as when I saw them with Despise You, but still really enjoyable, and they get into it. It's very intense music. I mean, they're kind of, how do you describe them? Kind of grindy, metalcore-y kind of stuff. I don't know. It's a weird combination, but it works very bloody well. And plus, they do the whole, balaclavas and body armor look, and really strongly opinionated band. So they went well. But yeah, I mean, everyone was there for Thou. Well, actually, probably half the crowd were there for Full of Hell, but I was there for Thou, and they were beyond killer. Again, a band I hadn't seen before. Don't know why they hadn't toured Australia like several times at least. But yeah, very intense. The singer looked fucking mean as on stage, but then was like cracking jokes occasionally. So he maybe just looked scary. Highlight for me probably was the drummer just going off. He went hard. So it was not what I expected. The set list seemed to mostly be new songs off Umbilical, the newest album, which may be featuring in my top 20 albums of the year. Just a slight spoiler there, and yeah, so I was not complaining that they played heaps of new songs. I'm fairly certain they played a song off like Summit, maybe like an older song, but yeah, mostly off either the latest album or the couple ones before that. Yeah, they just had that southern I Hate God sort of groove to them. I mean, they don't sound that much like I Hate God, but there's still that swagger to them, and yeah, they ruled. Crowd didn't really do a huge amount, but I mean, what can you do to sludge, really? It's not really a mosh pit kind of band. I think they were saving their energy for Full of Hell and got a bit of a better response, I think. I mean, the crowd were very appreciative, just not really doing much, but I still wonder how it is for a doom band watching the crowd not do much. Must be unsatisfying at times, but at any rate, yeah, they ruled. Full of Hell were on after, who was a band I know very little about. I don't know anything. I had listened to their new album a few times, but not enough to recognise anything really, to tell the truth. But I was pretty impressed. They, as I think I said in the review, the slow songs kind of dragged them down a bit. I don't know, they should have been one of those 25-minute set and you're done of like fast, nasty ones. Most of their stuff's, I wouldn't even say grind, but it's just like grindy hardcore maybe. But yeah, I mean, they were a lot better than I expected. I mean, I didn't expect them to be shit by any means, but it's not really my style. But it's kind of odd because it probably should be my style, but I don't know, they just never bothered checking them out. So maybe I will one day, but yeah, maybe I'll just continue not doing that. So, and yeah, I mean, for them, a tough act to follow Thou, although really very different sounding bands. I was kind of surprised to see them touring together at all. I mean, they're both sort of DIY kind of bands. They probably know each other, who knows, but worked well for me, but it's still a little odd. But yeah, Thou just roared so bloody good. All right, also in that review, because they played 2 days before Thou and Full of Hell, was Hellhammer. They came in at number, 5, I think. Yeah, they played 14th of August at the Basement in Belconnen and friggin' ruled. So this is obviously Triumph of Death plays Hellhammer because, well, Martin, Eric Ain's dead, and I don't know if Steve Warrior was too keen to be playing or anything either, so, or Stephen Priestley or whoever the Hellhammer drummer was, but so it's Triumph of Death, which is, yeah, Tom Warrior and some other people. But did a bloody good job, that's for sure. I had seen the same sort of set, essentially, at Dark Mofo a couple of years beforehand. But, I don't know, this was just a bit better. It was, I mean, pretty much the same songs, played by the same people, but Maybe it's because it was a bit closer, a bit sort of more immediate. I mean, the venue in Hobart was bloody killer as well, but I was a little further back, whereas this one, I don't know, just a bit closer. It just seemed a bit punchier as well. They put on a bloody great show. It was really good. I mean, it was kind of fun watching like talented musos, obviously very talented musos playing, well, to be fair, fairly simple music. I mean, legendary music, don't get me wrong, Hellhammer ruled, but it's not bloody Malmsteen, that's for sure. So yeah, it was just killer. I mean, you know, Tom had some, you know, amusing banter in between songs, but the highlight probably was really watching the rest of the crowd enjoying it so much as well. Everyone, big grins on their faces, old heads just going hard, you know, people coming out of the bloody woodwork that haven't seen a gigs for quite a while. So, I mean, to see Tom Warrior there, of course you would, playing in Canberra, which is not to be expected normally. So, appreciate to the promoters that brought that one out. I'm really hoping that he is playing, like Triumph of Death are playing Celtic Frost songs now. They're doing like MDF next year and a batch of other festivals and so on. So, I'm fingers crossed that comes out here because, as I said in the other review, I prefer Celtic Frost over Hellhammer by quite a large margin. But so yeah, if that comes back out, I might even go see that in a couple of cities. I think Witch Skull supported them as well. Who, yeah, get around those boys. Second gig that they're on, and that they ruled as usual. It was kind of weird. It was really friggin' loud. As I whinged about in my review about my camera not picking it up because I don't know what was going on. The sound was peaking out pretty something fierce. Maybe I stood too close to the PA, but it was very loud, which suited Witch Skull. I'm not complaining about it live. It just buggered up my recording. Sadly, I missed the residency that they did at the basement where they did like 4 weekends in a row, doing an album each weekend. So that would have been fun, but yeah, I'm sure I'll get to see him again. I was very pleased to see Alan from Let's Talk Metal. I'll put a link below to his video. It's Alan's one of the guys from Heavy Metallurgy that I did a live stream with. I sent him some CDs the other day, and he just put out a video that just going through the various CDs I sent. I think I sent him Alchemist and a few other Aussie metal ones, one of which was Witch Skull, which I figured he'd like because it's Joel from Armored Angel in it. So yeah, I was pleased that he enjoyed that. So. But yeah, Witch Skull, they killed it as usual. It was kind of weird. Like, that was it, 2 bands. It was over by like 10:30. Again, I'm an old geezer. I'm not complaining too much, but yeah, I think I did have to work the next day, so it was probably a good thing. But yeah, excellent bloody gig. Just, I don't know, something so fun about Hellhammer. It's pretty simple music, but really, really good fun. I mean, they're a legendary band, so to see those songs live was great. Really good. All right, number 4 was Americans' Mortiferum playing with Faceless Burial, Altars and Contaminated. That was on the 19th of January at Simo's Dive on the Water or whatever it's called. It's a harbour cruise. It's a ferry that cruises around Sydney Harbour. So, you know, under the bridge, round past the, you know, Opera House, everywhere. Yeah, just cruises around with only, you know, obviously only gig-related people on there. There's a tourist on there going, what the hell's going on here? So yeah, just chock full of metalheads, a couple of bars. There was like a DJ on top playing music, you know, like on the outdoor sort of bit. I kind of thought that the bands should be on the top bit, like the open air bit, but I guess if it's raining, probably wouldn't be too good for the equipment, really. So the bands played on the lowest deck in, yeah, somewhat hot band area, that's for sure. I mean, with everyone jammed in there, it was, yeah, pretty warm. There was a few breezy sort of spots where you could get a nice bit of ocean air, but yeah, other than that, it was pretty sweaty. But overall, really good fun. Highlights for me were probably Contaminated, who played first, and the main band Mortiferum as well. I mean, the other bands ruled as well, but Altars had kind of average sound, and they're a pretty friggin' technical band, so I mean, I know their songs reasonably well, so I could sort of pick some up, but I think it was the first time I actually saw them live, and it was, yeah, a bit frustrating that the sound was a bit shit. I think the problem is that the height of the ceiling in there is like, you know, 9 foot or something, so there's really not much space to raise up the PA, so there's just people in the way of the PA, and just, yeah, didn't sound great. What are they called? Faceless Burial. They were killer to watch, and I think I was actually watching them side stage, so I could see Max, the drummer, just going berserk. So, and yeah, I mean, the rest of the band go berserk as well, and the crowd were really getting into them, so that was great. But yeah, Contaminated are on first, and just, their new album is friggin' ripper, and yeah, they blasted away something fierce, really good sound. I don't know how they got such a great sound out of it. I mean, so did Mortiferum as well. Maybe the slightly simpler sort of bands just managed to get a better sound. Anything I'll complain about, well, not complain, I did do a full review of this one as well. I'll put a picture of it up. It was a while ago, obviously back in January, so I rambled more on that, no doubt. But one thing that peeved me was that I think it started at like 7 maybe, or 8 o'clock, somewhere around there. So it was light for a while, but then it was dark for most of it, which, yeah, doesn't matter for the gig. But as far as sightseeing goes, sure, the lights of the CBD looked pretty nice, but heaps of it was out in the heads. So all these nice, pretty areas that I know that are really nice, because I've, been around on ferries during the day, and it's a beautiful part of Sydney, but it was dark, so you couldn't even see most of it. So it was just, I don't know, seemed a little odd that it makes sense to start it so late, because you don't want to be rocking up at 5 o'clock kicking all the drunkards off, but I don't know. It seemed a tad bit of a waste there, really. But other than that, it was all around awesome. But yeah, Mortiferum, the main American band, I wouldn't say death doom, but they've got some slow moments, and just heavy as buggery death metal. They were really bloody good. I think it was the second time I saw him. I did see him in Portland a couple of years ago at that Eternal Warfare Fest, and they were just, rumbly wonderfulness. And yeah, they were much the same this time, and had a ball. It was really good fun. The crowd were getting into it, the band were getting into it, and yeah, just all around killer gig. It was a real shame Simon from Explosive Action was supposed to go, but he had appendicitis or something or other at the time. I don't know, poor bugger was sick and missed it. So I bought him a tour shirt because I'm a nice chap. So I'm glad he got that, but yeah, I'm sure he would have more than more appreciated seeing the bands, but no. Hopefully they'll be back. But yeah, that gig was damn fine. So yeah, number 4. All right, my number 3 gig of the year was Essence Festival, which was held in Canberra at the Basement on the 27th and 28th of September. So it was a 2-day festival. I think it was a Friday night and then most of the day Saturday. It was a really good combination of, your more traditional extreme metal styles with some other more experimental electronic sort of bands. There was some interesting ones, that's for sure. Of the traditional sort of metal bands, most of them ruled, to tell the truth. A Bramlin were killer as always. I mean, they're a long-running Melbourne death metal band. They definitely know what they're doing, and yeah, they ruled as usual. Crowd definitely got into that one. Whitehorse played as well, like extreme doom, you could say. They're just brutal live always. They did like 2 songs, like 40-minute set or whatever. One of which was a 20-minute, newer song that, was just roaring all the way through it. And the second song, I think, was an older song that, Pete used a different vocal style, which I really wasn't quite used to, and it still worked. Just was different. I'm like, what the hell? Also, Altars kicked ass. Very technical, God knows what's going on metal, but yeah, they had a superior sound to the Mortiferum gig, that's for sure. Probably partly because the drummer Dan is the organizer of Essence Festival. Good work, mate. So yeah, they ruled. Carcinoid were superb, really good sound. They're a sludgy death metal band from Melbourne, and yeah, they sounded perfect. One of the definite highlights for me was what are they called? Impetuous Ritual from Queensland, who are a bit messy, you could say. I did try and film them. They did actually ask me to film them, but the sound is not good. It's just like wall of noise. I mean, which is kind of what it was live. It was very loud. I don't know if they just turned everything up, but yeah, it was. You could not make much out, but it was like an artwork. you could not quite work out what was going on, but it was just still beautiful. I mean, they were playing like maniacs as well. I mean, they were a tad tipsy as well, especially the singer. Yeah, there was an amusing end to the festival to their set where they were trying to keep playing, and yeah, they'd gone over time and were, yeah, sorry boys, that's it. And he just kept apologising, saying, sorry. So they did ask me to film it, but the quality is so shit house that, yeah, sorry boys. Who else was there? I mean, there was a few bands that I hadn't seen before, like Spire, black metal band. They were bloody killer, but it was like right at the end of the night I was a little weary, so I sat and listened to them. There was a few sitting bands, but hey, you could still hear it perfectly well. So yeah, they were pretty bloody good. Midnight Odyssey, didn't do a huge amount for me. I got like one of their older CDs somewhere. They're sort of black metal band, but I don't know, just sounded a bit clean for my liking. One of the black metal bands that really did impress that I rambled on about in I think my September collection review or collection update video. I do talk about a batch of these bands because I bought their stuff there, or was given to it by Lumen Ad Mortem. Thanks again, boys, who friggin' killer. Pretty traditional sort of black metal, like not horribly produced or anything. It was like really good sound. I think it's a singer from Deluge, old Adelaide black metal band. So maybe I think one of the guitarists might have been in Deluge for a while as well. But yeah, they bloody ruled. And their CD, as I said in my September collection update, it was bloody excellent. So very pleased to see them. Malignant Aura, killer sort of funeral, well, not quite funeral doom, but death doomy sort of band. They kicked ass. It was my first time seeing them. Sadly, Convulsing couldn't make it, so that was a real shame they didn't play. And the other one that I'll mention is Soma Plume. I think I did sort of review them because sadly they didn't have any merch. I didn't get anything, but I did buy their album on Bandcamp because I don't think it's actually physically released. They're kind of like Neurosis meets The Gathering, I think I described them as. So like really crushing, sludgy sort of stuff, but with female vocals that were sort of harsh at times, but most of the time just sort of powerful, soaring sort of styles. Really bloody good. They really quite impressed. That was a band I knew nothing about, just went in blind. I mean, batch of these I went in blind intentionally. Of the more experimental bands, because there's two stages of the basement, one quite large one and one cozy smaller one, and most of the experimental ones are in the cozy room. Yeah, there were some pretty good ones. Host was pretty good. Who I noticed they're touring with Mayhem next year. I think next January Mayhem are coming back. So yeah, Host were pretty good. Who was it? So Discord, I think, were really good. I think it's the noise guy from Whitehorse, his solo band. That was bloody excellent. It was dancier than I expected, I think. There was a sort of rappish kind of band that I did not really care for, I've got to say. They were on the big stage. It was just one person rambling. Yeah. Sulphur Garden were good, except for the fact for Jail's mic wasn't working, but they still sounded pretty bloody good. They were a more traditional, industrial tape loopy kind of band. I think I missed Black Aleph, which I think it was a mistake on my part. But yeah, overall, that's right, there was Monderite or something or other, Icelandic one that was pretty interesting. It was a woman with a very powerful voice that I don't think I watched the whole set, but yeah, that was pretty impressive. So it was really well organised. Both stages had a really good sound. So yeah, I appreciated the fact that it was not just 30 metal bands in a row. I mean, I do like non-metal music, as metalheads are wont to say, like i.e. everything else. So yeah, but overall, great choice of bands as well. Some like weird ones. It wasn't just like, we'll get King Parrot, which will get 100 people out and blah blah sort of bands. It was, yeah, worked very well. I had a great time, so thanks again, Dan. Number 3. All right, number 2 was Viscera Infest, who played at the Potbelly on the 15th of August. The Japanese gore grind, death grind, something or other. Very full-on band. They played with 3 support bands. First up was Gossica, who's like from the south coast. I did a review for this one as well, so I'll put a picture of it up because yeah, it's a bit more extensive than this will be. And has a few clips of some of the bands as well. So yeah, Gossica are up first. Yeah, reasonably traditional death metal-y sounding band. Sounds a bit like Death. I like early Death. They were very promising, I've got to say. I quite enjoyed them. After that was Slaughter Cult, who's sort of like a mortician-y sounding kind of band from, I think they're from Sydney, New South Wales, somewhere. They're bloody excellent. They were really good fun. I very much enjoyed them. Very heavy sound. Drummer was slightly odd, but I appreciated that. But yeah, super detuned sound. Did a Mortician cover. Can't ask for more, really. So they met my expectations. I already had their Meathead record, so I knew the songs and sounded friggin' killer. Plus they used samples live, which is always a winner. Crypt Crawler was the main support band. They're from Perth. They had a shit sound and they were kind of bland, really, to tell the truth. I mean, maybe it was the sound. Like, I don't know, you could barely hear the guitars and there was like 2 guitarists. It's like, what the hell's going on here? All the other bands sound great, so I don't know what was going on there, but yeah, did not win. The highlight of them for me was their album cover, which is a friggin' cool album cover, but yeah, nah, sorry boys. But the highlight with that fail was Viscera Infest, who's just brutal heavy band from Japan, super fast. They're the ones with the cockroach mosh, which was pretty wanky really, but if the crowd's enjoying it and not smashing into me, I do not mind at all. I was not getting on the ground. The cockroach mosh is where you lie on your back on the ground and shake your legs as if you're a dying cockroach. I don't know how the hell that started, but hey, sure, why not? So yeah, that happened a few times. The crowd were getting into it though, which was really good to see. And yeah, I made the point to my mate Christoph when I was chatting with him in Melbourne that I was really surprised to see so many young folks into such a brutal band as Viscera Infest. I mean, part of it was possibly the cockroach mosh side of things, but the music is very intense. Like I like extreme metal, and this is nearly as extreme as it gets. Very fast. I mean, they pretty much worship at the altar of Disgorge from Mexico, which is not a problem for me at all. Not a band I'm likely to see, so yeah, I'm happy to see Viscera Infest play similar sort of stuff. But yeah, and I mentioned that to Christoph, and he said, well, if you think about it, like the popular music of the youth metalheads is, your Lorna Shore, all the deathcore sort of stuff, which is still pretty full on. I mean, I don't like it, but when you break it down, it is still very growly vocals, pretty fast. So, and which was a damn good point that he made, that kids these days are starting with really pretty friggin' heavy stuff in the first place. It's not like me coming up on Metallica and Slayer and then suddenly seeing Viscera Infest going, oh, what the hell's going on? They were sort of, they were already used to that sort of stuff. So he made a very good point, and I was kind of pleased with that, because it means that they were not just there to do stupid cockroach mosh. They actually liked Viscera Infest. So, and yeah, they're amazing live. So bloody good. I mean, it was short as hell. It was like, maybe 25 minutes, maybe half an hour. I mean, they still played a batch of songs, but yeah. And the drummer is the other one that everyone likes to look at because he's a crazy drummer, and he is very bloody good and was very good live. But yeah, just overall, everything was just so spot on. Freaking awesome. Now they've got a bass player as well. They used to only have 2 guitarists. They never had a bass player in the past, so always had a slightly thin sound on record. So, but live with the bass player, sounded bloody excellent. So, that was such a gig. That would have been my number 1 gig if not for this next one, which was amazing. But yeah, that was such a fun night. Everyone was loving it. As I said, it was a very short set, so I think they could have played slightly longer, but maybe they would have keeled over and died. But yeah, it was great night. Really good fun. And my number 1 gig of 2024, unsurprisingly, was Decennial Deleration. Still a weird name for a gig, but anyway. Yeah, which was only a month and a bit ago, about 6 weeks ago. So I did a full review of that. It was on the 8th and 9th of November at the Tote in Melbourne. So yeah, did a full review of that. I highly encourage you to watch that one because there's live clips as well in that. But that was amazing freaking gig. Again, a 2-night festival. They did 2 stages. The second night, I think. The first night, I think, was just on the main stage in the Tote, which is really not a giant venue, and the upstairs is even smaller, but yeah, it worked pretty bloody well. I won't go through every band, but highlight bands, I mean, the 2 headliners, I'll get to them, but Contaminated friggin' ruled. Faceless Burial always ruled, but yeah, Carcinoid was another extreme winner for me. Just perfect sound, just crowd getting into it, loved it. It was really good fun. Of the bands that I hadn't seen before, Cerebral Erosion, friggin' killer, from like Darwin maybe, or somewhere north, or Brisbane, sorry. Who did I missed Miserable Creature. Vile Apparition were pretty bloody good. Gutless I listened to. they were really good. But yeah, highlight was Undergang was very near the highlight. They were friggin' excellent. I mean, I had seen them when they toured like 10 years ago, but crushing Danish, caveman death metal, and so good live. They have their music's pretty much designed for live. I think there's so many like chunky breakdowny bits that just work so perfectly live. Crowd was loving it. But the highlight, without doubt, and best band I saw this year was Miasmatic Necrosis. It was just so bloody good. So Gorgrind band from America, and they didn't even talk to the crowd. No crowd interaction whatsoever. They played with like one light, which was just red. So it was just red with smoke, gloomy kind of atmosphere, but that was so intense. I think they played all their songs because the crowd were like asking for more, and Paulo, the guitarist, came out and went, "We don't have any more." So they only have one album. I don't know if they even have demos, but live was just crushing. Like, they're very much a regurgitate style gore grind, so fast as hell, good, cool little breakdowns that really don't go for too long, short, maybe 2-minute songs if you're lucky. Occasionally there's some longer ones, but most of them are just to the point and just perfect sound. Heavy as all hell. It was, I could ramble longer, but it was just chef's kiss sort of gig. So bloody good. I was expecting him to be good, but not that good. I don't know. There was something about it. I mean, it is one of my very favourite styles, and to see it live, done so perfectly, and with the band really enjoying it. And I mean, the singer's one of the organisers of MDF, and which is always kind of weird to see him on stage. But he's just got like big spiked gauntlets, and is just sort of pretty much the whole time just all kneeling, looking intense. And yeah, that ruled so bloody hard. So yeah, that was my number 1 gig of the year. Just yeah. Miasmatic Necrosis, please come back, because you guys friggin' ruled. So good. So yeah, I'll just give an honourable mention to, I'm fairly certain the only other gig that I went to is, it could have been a top 11 gigs. I had this weird feeling there's a few gigs I'm missing that I just forgot about because maybe they didn't have Facebook events or something or other, and they were earlier in the year. But only other one I could think of was Nile. Yeah, that was pretty bloody good, but it was in Sydney at the Crowbar in, I don't know, November sometime, or October, I think. And it was my first time seeing Nile, and they were bloody killer, but I don't like the venue, the Crowbar. Its stage isn't high enough. It's always too packed in there. I don't know, it's just, as far as Sydney venues go, I really like the Metro and the Manning Bar because they're sort of a little raised. You can actually see a bit better, whereas Crowbar's just one long room. And yeah, I just wasn't quite feeling it that night. I mean, they played bloody good. It was great. I mean, they didn't play anything off the first album, which kind of peeved me slightly. But yeah, that was still bloody killer. Support bands. God, I can't even remember who they were, so I didn't see much of them, obviously, but had a fun time overall. But yeah, as far as next year goes, there's already a few gigs coming up. It's like they've already announced, what are they called? Onslaught are playing like September next year or something. It's like far out. That's well in advance. But one that I'll definitely probably go to is Left to Die. There's like, Terry Butler and Rick Ross and who else is in it? Oh, Matt from Exhumed, I think, sings. So death cover band essentially with members that were in Death. This is the Melbourne sort of Death Fest version of it that I don't know if it's totally sold out yet, but killer bands. I mean, I think they are playing Canberra, so I'll probably just be lazy and go to the Canberra show. But the Melbourne Death Fest one's got like Pestilential Shadows, Faceless Burial, Werewolves, Pizza Death, batch of other bands, Gutless. So that'll be tempting, but yeah, I think I'll just go to the Canberra one. The other one that I'm tempted about is Sinister coming out. I think they've been here before. I've never actually seen them playing with Blasphemencia, so that's tempting. That's on that Simo's boat cruise. So yeah. I may well go out for that one. I think there's a few other ones. There's Enforcer, who I don't really know anything about. But so yeah, a few gigs coming up. But yeah, we'll see. I'll definitely see Left to Die though, because yeah, how could I not go and see songs from Leprosy and Scream Bloody Gore? Jesus. But at any rate, yeah, I think that'll be my next gig. So may try and take a camera along to it, but it's kind of liberating not taking a camera along. So. But anyway, thanks for watching. The next one, I'll probably do top 10 Aussie albums or top 10 EPs. I was going to try and do all these, after Christmas, but I might just try and ram through them this weekend so that I don't have to think about it. It's just marginally irritating with some of my, best albums sort of ones that they haven't actually arrived yet. So I'm going to be, I've heard them obviously, or they wouldn't be in the list, but there's a good batch that I'm still waiting on the actual physical copy to arrive. So, yeah, oh well. These things happen. But anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Cheers.